Blog Talk Radio.
You're tuned into In5D Radio, the next dimension in radio, where we bring you the hottest, in-depth, spiritual, metaphysical, esoteric conversations and news with your hosts, Gregg Prescott and Kendra Gilbert. Get ready for spirit, body, and mind to expand in 3, 2, 1.
Namaste and welcome to In5D Radio, coming to you from the 99% quartz crystal sands of Sarasota, Florida, every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and 12 a.m. midnight in the UK. I'm your host, Gregg Prescott from In5D.com, and for the next 2 hours, we're going to be raising the vibration of the planet, galaxy, and universe. Tonight, we're going to be talking about how to deprogram yourself from the constant brainwashing we all receive every day of our lives. But first, I'd like to bring in my co-host, coming to you from Jumanji, Florida. I believe Jumanji is located near Ocala. Licensed massage therapist, energy worker, and artist Kendra Gilbert. Hi, Kendra.
Hi, Greg. Yeah, well, surprisingly enough, today was not too bad. We had nice, bright, sunny sky today, so, yeah.
Good day for hula hooping.
Yes, extremely good. Had a lot of fun with that today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, Greg, I mean, we just recently experienced the grand sextile planetary alignment today, and as you know, it's a very rare thing. And I know I felt some amazing energy today as a result from it. How about you?
Well, you know, last night I was talking to Bill Ballard, and even though it was the night before the alignment, it felt like I was riding a natural high. And I sent you a comment saying the same thing, and Bill said he was feeling the same thing. So what was your impression on that?
You know, I just today I just have felt this enormous surge, and you know, I try really hard to kind of, you know, hone into that energy and hold it as long as I can. But you know, many of us, you know, in the metaphysical and astrological, you know, communities, we really see these, you know, sacred geometrical alignments as pretty profound opportunities to, you know, to really expand and advance human consciousness. So I'm just really grateful for every single opportunity that we're given to, you know, experience these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, Greg, you know, how do you want to kick things off tonight?
Well, first off, I want to remind everybody that the Return to Atlantis conference will be held the weekend of October 4th through the 6th, 2013. Helene Lipson and I will be hosting this event, and we're limited to 90 seats, so get your seats while you can. Everything begins Friday night, October 4th, with Dr. Dream, who will be leading a new moon beach glow activation. On Saturday and Sunday, we have an amazing group of high vibrational speakers, including Lisa Renee, Jill Scott, Laura Eisenhower, Dr. Dream, astrologer Tom Kapacha-Lesher, and galactic historian Andrew Bartzis, who has the rare ability to read universal and individual Akashic records. And by the way, Andrew will be our guest next week on In5D Radio, so be sure to check that out. We'll be having a cosmic reunion beach party Saturday night, which will be catered by my favorite organic store in Sarasota, Earth Origins. And on Sunday night, we're all going to be meeting for the drum circle on Siesta Key Beach. Our speakers will be featured from late morning until mid-afternoon, so you'll have plenty of time to go sightseeing or just hang out on the beach. And as I mentioned, there's a good chance that this event will be sold out before October, so if you're unable to attend or to get tickets, we will be live streaming the Return to Atlantis speakers, so be sure to check that out as well. I also wanted to pass along this breaking news item. A friend of mine, Peter, on Facebook made me a series of solfeggios, and I took them and sampled them into 1-hour meditations. Now, I added holophonic bells, holophonic waterfalls, and either theta or alpha binaurals. So it'll give people a chance to listen to the alpha in the morning or the theta in the evening. I'll also be making every combination of solfeggios, harmonics, and binaurals. So, for example, you could listen to a morning 527 solfeggio without anything added to it, or you could listen to a different version with an alpha binaural beat, and then there will be another version with the solfeggio, the alpha, or the theta binaural, and one of the holophonic sounds, along with a final version that has everything embedded into it. So I'll be doing this for each of the 6 solfeggios, and I'll be posting them to my In5D YouTube channel. I'm also going to be building a new website called solfeggios.com, where you'll be able to find all 84 of these videos.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's pretty crazy, but that's why I work 15-plus hours a day, every day, 365 days a year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think the new website, Greg, looks great. I mean, I love it. You've done one heck of a job on it, and I think I'm not alone when I say that. It's beautiful. Job well done.
Well, thank you. And I got to thank you for helping me out on moving a lot of material from one website to the other, and without you, it wouldn't have been done on time, so thank you.
No, my pleasure, Greg. Always.
So let's jump right into it. There's a small group of people who have been trying to control our reality by keeping us stuck in this fear-laden mentality. And tonight we're going to be talking about how to deprogram yourself from this mentality so you'll be able to live a productive life while staying in a high vibrational mode. Now, arguably, one of the oldest forms of control can be found within religion. Just like all governments, religion is all about subservience, control, and conformity. And just a reminder, we're going to have open lines all night, so if you want to call in and tell us how you overcame religion, give us a call at 646-716-8890. So I asked this question to a lot of people, Kendra, and I'd like to ask you the same thing. If a UFO were to land in your backyard tonight, do you think an ET would have a Bible or money?
No, not at all. I mean, matter of fact, I'm kind of sort of hoping his name's going to be Paul, and he's wearing flip-flops and wants to go hang out at a Siesta drum circle and have some fun. But no, I mean, in all seriousness, I highly doubt a Bible or money would be in their possession. What I would hope would be in their possession is, maybe like an accurate, untainted version of Earth or humanity's true history. Mm-hmm. That would be really, really cool. And, funny enough, too, I mean, if you've ever seen the movie Paul, that's exactly what he gives the 3 people who helped him escape from Area 51. He puts his big, hand right on their forehead and downloads an entire history into their brain in 3 seconds of how the human race began. So it's pretty funny.
Well, when people say, hey, did you ever see, and then I stop them right there, I'm like, no, I don't watch TV.
Well, yep. I'm very, very selective in what I do choose to watch most times, and it's usually, either late at night when I ain't got nothing else I want to do, and I'm kind of bored. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do not think that an ET would have a Bible or money at all. He might have instructions on how to burn them and destroy them, but that's about it.
Disintegrate them with a blink of the eye, yeah. Now, if you go to In5D, you'll find numerous teachers such as Bill Donahue, Santos Bonacci, and Jordan Maxwell, along with the first Zeitgeist video, all of which teach that religion is all about astrology and astrotheology, and it's not a literal representation that many religious zealots believe. Now, if you go to the link on how to deprogram yourself and check out the Zeitgeist video on religion, you'll find a really good interpretation of how religion is based on astrotheology. And what I did was I took a small piece from it and cut it down into a short synopsis of how astrotheology was used as a metaphor and allegory.
Now, the Bible reflects, broadly speaking, a symbolic movement through 3 ages while foreshadowing a 4th. In the Old Testament, when Moses comes down Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments, he is very upset to see his people worshiping a golden bull calf. The reality is, the golden bull is Taurus the bull, and Moses represents the new age of Aries the ram. This is why Jews even today still blow the ram's horn. Moses represents the new age of Aries. Now Jesus is the figure who ushers in the age following Aries, the age of Pisces, or the 2 fish. Jesus feeds 5,000 people with bread and 2 fish. And I think we have all seen the Jesus fish on the back of people's cars. Little do they know what it actually means. It is a pagan astrological symbolism for the sun's kingdom during the age of Pisces. At Luke 22:10, when Jesus is asked by his disciples where the last Passover would be, Jesus replies, "Behold, when ye are entered into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he entereth in. This scripture is by far one of the most revealing of all the astrological references. The man bearing the pitcher of water is Aquarius, the water bearer, who is always pictured as a man pouring out a pitcher of water. He represents the age after Pisces, and when the Son, God's Son, leaves the age of Pisces, Jesus, it will go into the house of Aquarius, as Aquarius follows Pisces in the precession of the equinoxes. All Jesus is saying is that after the age of Pisces will come the age of Aquarius.
And, I get this a lot, too. A lot of people will ask me, when is the age of Aquarius? And, that actual date is highly debatable, even among professional astronomers. According to Estelle Daniels, she said that the classical astrologers will probably say that the age of Aquarius won't begin until the year 2300 or so, when the vernal equinox reaches the last star in the constellation of Aquarius. And other astrologers will say that the age of Aquarius will begin anywhere from 1910 to the year 2410, depending on when the vernal equinox point hits the place 1 second more than 30 degrees behind Aries. Now, according to Samuel Onwar, W-E-O-R, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but he's the founder of the Gnostic movement. He believes that the age of Aquarius began on February 4th, 1962, because on that day, there was a very rare astrological alignment where the planets Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, along with the Sun, the Earth, and the Moon, were all found in the constellation of Aquarius. So this type of planetary alignment only occurs once every 2,160 years, moving from one constellation to the next. And each time it happens, it marks the beginning of a new era or a new age for humanity. I was looking at the switchboard. I see that we have some callers. Would you like to bring one of our callers in?
Sure. Let's see here. We've got who we believe here is Lanice from area code 901. Lanice, you're live on In5D Radio. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you?
Hi, Lanice.
Doing great. Hey.
Hi. Well, I'm feeling great. I don't know if it has to do with this trying that we're having today.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, yeah. We were just talking about how people are feeling like this natural high off of this alignment going on. What is it that you're feeling?
Peace and calm, and not so anxious as I have been feeling prior to this energy. But I've been praying about it too. It's like, give me a break,
Oh, yeah.
So,
and I'll tell you what, the way we just got out of a Mercury retrograde, and a lot of people have been slammed through all these alignments all the way up until this point of the year. But according to several astrologers, like Carl Boudreau, one of my favorite ones on YouTube, there's a bunch of them that are out there, but they're all saying that it's going to be an amazing summer. We're finally going to get a break, and that everything's going to start coming our way.
I hope so, because I have Jupiter in Cancer, and Cancer is my sun sign, and that's supposed to be really a break going on for me, and I'm just waiting for it to get started. But I'm feeling it now.
So let me ask you, how is it that you deal with religion in your life?
Well, I'm not one. I don't follow the traditional Bible, church-going religion scenario. I did, but there was so much in it that was contrary to what I knew within my soul and spirit that I had to walk away. As far as the teaching is about who God is and the devil and all this stuff, it didn't resonate with me, so I came out of that. And I began to research love, God, the truth, and all these things, and I found it in metaphysics. And that's where I resonate, so that's where I go. And I
agree with you.
A lot of help on Blog Talk Radio. I was reading, and now that I've come to Blog Talk Radio, been listening for about maybe 3 years now, and I do have to be discriminating in what I listen to, even on Blog Talk Radio. So I've learned a lot. I feel like I just feel so connected now to know that there are other people on the planet who resonate where I resonate. So it's very comforting. And, shows such as this, and I do embrace astrology, which has helped me a lot. So I just walked away. The religion just did not resonate with me and my truth at all. So.
Well, I'll tell you, I've mentioned this a couple times on the air, that ever since I was a child, when I would walk into the church, I would get what I call the EBGBs. I kept getting this uneasy feeling. As soon as I walked into the church, I knew that there was something not right about whatever it was.
It was almost like a fear. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, this negative energy or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. And I was this little rebel who would constantly question my Sunday school teachers about the origins of mankind, because whatever she was telling me, for some reason, even at that age, even though you're supposed to respect your elders and stuff, I'm like, no, this isn't right. This can't be. I don't understand. And my parents would tell me not to question the Sunday school teacher and so on and so forth. But I'm glad that I listened to my inner self, and that I've learned so much about religion. And here's one of the things that I tell a lot of people who are devout religious zealots, that the letter J wasn't invented until the 1500s, which means it's impossible for there to be any Jesus, Joseph, Jacob, Jeremiah, right down the J's. Yeah. And then people will say, well, his real name was Yeshua. But even if his real name was Yeshua, that would be Joshua in Hebrew. So there's still no Jesus. So, I mean, the whole story has so many holes in it. And, and I don't want to pop the bubble of anybody who is religious, because I thoroughly respect anyone who follows their own heart and is doing what they truly believe is to follow the higher source, the creator, God, whatever you want to call him. And I respect that, but for me, it just doesn't resonate.
It's really fascinating, too, when you look at religion from a completely non-programmed perspective also, because, if you can get yourself to that point, first of all, but if you can eliminate all the preconceived ideas and opinions, that you hold against religions and see them for what they really are, how they developed, where they came up with their beliefs in the first place, who's funding them. I mean, it really makes very little sense. And so you start to see that true agenda behind them. I mean, it becomes crystal clear what's really going on. So very interesting, very fascinating when you can step back and look at it and eliminate some of that pre-programmed, opinions that we have. Absolutely.
Yeah, I am yet being deprogrammed. I'm not all the way there, but I'm way ahead of the masses, I tell you that. I love the show, and I listened when Avatar was on talking about the starseed coatings, and I looked at mine, and I did see I have a 27 degrees Gemini. And I began to look at other people, and I think I did speak with Lavendar about that, and she said that is a starseed coating. And I looked back at one of my little grandsons. He has the 25, the 26, and the 27 right lined up together. I thought, wow. Yeah. And he is an amazing little boy. And it's sitting right there. I'm thinking he's got all the numbers, and they're lined up together. So that was exciting. So I'm really going to be looking at him closely and learning from him, because I'm sure he has a lot to teach.
and keep researching everything. I mean, people like Bill Donahue is amazing. If there was a church that I were to go to, an actual church, it would be his, because he just turns things around. He shows you how Jesus is essentially the pineal gland, and how to look at things that are in the Bible, but he decodes them from a different perspective and just puts it into words that makes it so much easier to swallow, instead of the rhetoric that we hear in traditional churches.
What's his name?
Bill Donahue.
You mean the one who was on TV not so long ago, who had the talk show?
No, that's Phil Donahue.
Oh.
Okay, you said Bill then.
Yeah, Bill. I think William. Yeah, they just typed his name in the chat room.
Okay. Well, I will check that out, because I'm always interested to learn, especially if he breaks it down in layman's terms where you can really understand it. Because I try to learn as much as I can and read and, study for myself, to get information. So I will take a look at him.
And I'd also recommend Jordan Maxwell and Santos Bonacci. And we've had both of them on In5D Radio, and they're wonderful sources for that kind of information.
Okay. Yep, things are speeding up, I tell you.
Indeed.
And I am definitely looking to see a new and better reality, 5D. I have 5D days, and then I'll jump back into a 3D or 4D or whatever, but I know it's not 5D. But I feel like I'm fifth-dimensional since, like, maybe Saturday, because Friday was so 3D, I didn't know what I was going to do. The back of my neck was hurting right at the very back.
Mm-hmm.
There was just this pressure, and then Saturday it was all clear, bright, and sunshiny, and it's still here.
Well, I'll tell you, yeah, there's times where I've been in, like, the grocery store, and I'll be shopping, and, a lot of us will do this, especially those of us who really shop for healthy food and all. But, you'll look in people's shopping carts, and you'll see all the crap that's in there. And then you look into their eyes, and they're almost like glazed over, as if they're zombies just going through the motions. And it's kind of weird because occasionally you'll run into that one person who has, like, all this healthy stuff in their cart, and they recognize you as if you're talking to each other through telepathy, saying, I can't believe this. We're in a grocery store full of zombies. Mm. It's almost like you're in 5D, and you're looking into 3D.
Yeah, it's kind of the way I've seen that vision is have you ever seen one of these movies where it's like a sci-fi movie where everybody's been programmed, they're like a zombie, and then there's this few that's still human, and still conscious, but the rest of them are like zombies, and they have this agenda, and they try to pull the rest of you in with the the zombie-like state.
Is that the movie They Live?
Oh, that was great.
I love that movie. If that's the one.
Certain movies with that theme, and that's what I'm feeling and seeing now. It's just like you described it a little differently, but it's the same way I'm seeing it in relatives, co-workers, and even just being out in public, And then I'm running into the ones who are enlightened. And it's like we have this telepathy, and we're drawn towards each other.
Yeah. It's all based on energy, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
That movie, They Live, this guy, the actor, I forgot his name. It's Roddy Piper.
Yeah, there you go.
But I forgot who he portrayed. But he finds this pair of glasses, and when he puts them on, he looks at, like, billboards and magazines, and all it says is, like, consume and, all sorts of stuff. He's seeing through the programming that's going on in our literal third-dimensional lives. And when he looks at people, he can see whether they're actually robot kind of people or are actually human people, too, through these glasses. Yeah, it's fascinating. Fascinating movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but that's the exact analogy that I'm seeing. That's what I was describing. I have to get that one. They Live. I'll look for that movie.
You can find it on YouTube, the full version on YouTube.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry, but we do need to move on. We got to move to our next caller here. But thank you so much for calling in, and definitely call back again.
Thanks, Lynn.
Oh, I'll be listening. I found a place that I'd like to frequent regularly, so you'll be seeing my name. Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. You're definitely part of our In5D family. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you so much. You too. Have a good evening.
Whoops. Sorry. And next up, we have area code 646. You're on In5D Radio. Can I get your name?
Hello, Greg.
Hi, is this Prevel?
Yeah, this is Prevel. How are you doing, Greg?
Hi, how are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine. I have a question for you and the In5D family. I'm trying to get an accurate reading on my natal chart, but I don't have the time of birth on my birth certificate, and I don't know if I'm getting an accurate reading because I don't know the time, and whatever search engine I use to get a natal chart, because I don't know the time of birth, it can't seem to give me like a reading. What would you suggest I do?
Honestly, just go with whatever your gut tells you. If you think you were born in the daytime, or if you feel like you were born at night, just use something like that, because ultimately, these planets aren't going to move a whole hell of a lot during that time period. So, for example, how old are you?
41.
Okay, so right now we already know that your Pluto is in Virgo.
Yes.
Because Pluto stays there for so many years. Right. So that's what I'm saying is, these planets are going to be there, and they're going to be in that general vicinity, especially on that one particular day. It could be, it could range 10, 15, 20 hours. It won't matter.
Yeah,
but it'll
I
give you
missed him because you had him on like a couple weeks, 2 weeks ago or whatever, and I missed him because, he gets into the natal charts. And I was at work that day when you had him on your show. But that's what it's some reason, the last 2 or 3 years, natal charts is like the big thing for me. It's trying to understand astrology from that perspective, and it's really interesting, man. I gobbled so many stuff up about natal chart. Just seeing astrology from that perspective is so enlightening, man. So empowering too.
Oh, definitely. And what you want it to do, too, is not only just check out where the planets are, check out which planets are retrograde.
Right. I know Mercury for me, because I'm a Virgo, Mercury is my retrograde planet. So I know whenever Mercury's in there, that's my ruling planet, Mercury. And that goes into retrograde. So I can understand when to, take necessary precaution doing when Mercury's in a retrograde, etc. But I mean, I'm just trying to understand me more, and I think going that direction astrologically with the natal chart, to me, it resonated so much with me.
Well, definitely. You definitely want to check out. And do you only have just one planet that's retrograde?
I have an iPhone, so I have an app called Time Passage Pro, and it does natal charts, and I just put 12 midnight, just a random number for my time of birth. And I came up with, I know Mercury as my ruling planet, and when it goes to the retrograde, that's as far as I know. Anything else, I would know the in-depth part of it.
Okay,
I paid
so
$12.99 for that app in the App Store.
Okay. Well, what I can tell you about having a Mercury retrograde on your natal birth chart is that you might have a hard time expressing your thoughts properly, and you might feel misunderstood by other people.
Right.
And sometimes you just need to listen a little bit better and to other people.
In numerology, I'm a 4. And I'm a 4 in numerology. So that part of learning to express myself comes up being a 4. When I did my whole thing with numerology, that part of if I don't learn how to express myself, communicate my feelings properly, then that's one of my lessons. Some of my life path of being a 4 is to learn to express myself more.
Well, you're definitely heading along the right path right now. Just keep looking into that. As a matter of fact, I have an article on In5D. It's called Retrograde Planets on Your Birth Chart. And it'll show you everything about that. And then, from there, just do a Google search and, find out a little bit more on it. Also, the one thing, too, is that you're in the same group as me with Pluto and Virgo. So there's going to be some things about control that are going to come up in your life that you're going to have to address somehow, some way, whether that's a controlling parent, a spouse, friend, whatever. And you're going to have to confront that on some level. Right.
I just wanted to get some feedback because, the time of birth wasn't on my birth certificate. And, and I feel like when I did my research on natal charts, everything, the way they presented it from my little research, it was time of birth was important so you could get some form of accuracy as far as understanding what's in your 5th house, your 3rd, your 2nd, your 8th, which planet, if it's Chiron, whatever, and this, knowing this time of birth was so pivotal. And I just want to get a feedback from the In5D family and you guys to see what was recommended. And because I just use 12 midnight as a universal, meridian thing, but it's just a guess.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's fine because, like I said, your planets, whether you're 12 midnight or 5 p.m.
or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty much the same.
Got you on that.
Okay.
Okay, I love you guys. So I as I say, I tune in whenever I can, and it's just that when you have certain guests, it just hurts because when I'm at work, I can't listen. I couldn't listen.
Well, I'll tell you what. you can find the videos on YouTube,
On YouTube,
or you can.
Yes, I do that. I do go back and like see what I miss. I do that. But it's kind of different when you're live, like now, interacting live, where you can feel the energy and the vibe, and you're going into it. You know, like when you had the Loris Cannon, the vibe was just there. You know.
Yep.
It's just something about being live and listening to it afterwards. It's a big difference. I swear to you, it's different.
One of the things too with your Mercury retrograde too, this is a good thing for you actually calling up and speaking on the radio, because it's a good way for you to actually overcome some of that Mercury retrograde that's going on with you.
Yes, and and again, the natal chart, it just resonates with me. I'm just the person that will read the astrology from the newspaper and call it life, you know, and to be this. Interested in this aspect of astrology, it's profound. I was like, wow, I didn't know there was such dimensions to it. Than just reading the one in the newspaper article. Like, okay, you know, I didn't know there was so much depth that went into astrology. Didn't know that, and it's fascinating as it unfolds to me as I go along with it.
Yeah, it really goes pretty deep. And matter of fact, I have an article on In5D called Houses on your birth chart, so you can actually find out which houses are, you know, which planets are in which house, and then go a little bit deeper into finding out exactly which one of those houses.
Gotcha. You did a show with Panther Jim 1995, and he recommended a host of books. I've managed to get 2 so far. He was like, if you want to get into this, you were talking to him, and he recommended like books to start with.
Yeah.
In understanding astrology, and I got 2 so far. So, you know, and so far so good.
Oh, wonderful! Good for you. Matter of fact, I think I posted the links to all 4 books that he had on one. Yeah, on In5D.
Yeah. To Amazon. Yeah. I mean, what I like when he's on your show, because he gets into it, and I tune into him on YouTube also, and he gives you this new moon that's coming up, and he explains what to look for, etc. I mean, the information he puts forward resonates with me so much. I was like, wow, you know, not a lot of jargons to it. It just, you know.
He's been on In5D Radio twice, and we're definitely going to have him back here in the next few weeks.
Yes,
yeah,
hopefully I can. Hopefully,
a favorite.
Yes, definitely. So anyway, I'll continue listening offline on my phone. I'm just appreciate you guys. Keep up the good work. You know, we need this kind of energy. We need this kind of forum where people can come and air out their experiences. You know, people. You know. Humanity is experiencing so many things paranormally at the paranormal level, and we don't have a forum for that. I don't.
Here it is.
You know, mainstream radio does not provide a forum where I had an out-of-body experience, or I got sleep paralysis. And I know William Boolham was on your show, and I called. I was like, how do I get over the sleep paralysis? I don't have a forum for that outlet, and I think In5D provide that outlet.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Pavel, you know, no matter what time of the day it is, we have a live chat on In5D, and you can talk, and I've told people this, anytime, 3 o'clock in the morning, no matter where you live geographically, you can find people chatting there, 24/7, 365. So if there's something that you ever want to get off your chest or ask about, just go on there, and you'll find a bunch of people on there willing to talk.
Okay, I will. So anyway, Greg, it's a pleasure talking to you, and I will just keep listening to the rest of the show.
Okay, we'll put you on mute. All right, brother. Take care.
Okay.
Bye, Pavel.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Moving on to, we still have more about religion. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I really honestly think that people are just, you know, I mean, they're going to continue to agree to disagree on the issue of religion, you know, until that profound, you know, moment or event occurs where that veil is just ripped completely away and people are able to see everything with the same, you know, the same vision. You know, I mean, it's really sad because, you know, it's really easy to see that religion's a program if you step back from it and just look at, you know, how religion and cultures even go literally hand in hand. I mean, you know, if I was born in Haiti or Japan, Africa, Nepal or something, I mean, or born into a family with a really strong culturally derived set of beliefs, then I'm sure my views would, you know, be totally different than they are today.
Mm-hmm.
But, I just seriously do not see, and, again, I'm not trying to offend anyone else, but, for me personally, I don't see where any true good comes from religion. I mean, they all seem, for the most part, to be tainted with somewhat dark past, hidden agendas. They program you to fear death because, they pound that into your head, that you've got to be either saved or, do some certain thing in this life in order to get to heaven, or else you're going to burn in a lake of fire or some other horrible, fate. And, and look at cultures that teach their young men that if they carry out acts of terror, that they're going to be rewarded with virgins in heaven. I mean, seriously. I mean, you mean the greatest gift that God could give me is an eternal supply of orgasms? I mean, I have to look at these things from a very, just unprogrammed viewpoint and look at it for what it is. And it just seems like religion is there to teach us to judge each other, and with the same breath, they tell us that we shouldn't judge. Very hypocritical. Mm-hmm. It causes division in families, division in culture, nations, keeps people in servitude. And so the question I've, personally have had to really gain enough courage to ask myself and even other people is, why? I mean, I grew up, in a Jehovah's Witness family. I personally experienced this religion firsthand. I was born into it. I was raised in it until I was about 7 years old, and I watched it like a disease destroy our family from the inside out. It was extremely devastating to me as a child. I was only allowed to associate with certain children. I wasn't allowed to participate in any holiday events or activities as a kid growing up at all. I mean, no Christmas, Halloween, no birthdays. Talk about really feeling alienated among your peers. And, it taught me to judge other people, too. And I grew up literally thinking that any boy or girl that I seen participating in any of those things were just no good. That, Jehovah was going to kill them all, and that I was guilty by associating with them, and that, by associating with them, I was turning my back on God. And if you're baptized and old enough, they hit you with the threat of disfellowshipping you, which, means you're basically an outcast. Your friends and your family, are forbidden to associate with you. I mean, it was a really pretty sick and twisted form of control. And, that organization and its brainwashed members can sit there and try to say anything they want, but to justify or argue with it. But it's the truth, and it's what I have come to believe and know in my heart. And, others might tell you, that, and I've asked myself, well, isn't, that kind of good that they kept you away from that stuff, because aren't all the holidays, all these little, mini programs to keep people distracted and enslaved in the system? And, yeah, of course, but, that's not the reason you're given. The reason that that's given to you is that these things are evil and they're from Satan, and if you participate in any of it, you're going to be considered worldly and unworthy of Jehovah, and that you're going to be destroyed at Armageddon, and you're not going to be given the gift of everlasting life and never seen your loved ones again. I mean, it's just more and more fear. I mean, it just teaches you to separate yourself and keep people in complete and total paranoia and divide people up. And it's true. It's our ignorance is their weapon. And the minute, and that's with all religions, I feel, because the minute you start questioning them, you can really begin to see that it's, their proverbial Achilles heel. I mean, they either give you the most ridiculous answer, or they tell you to just have faith, or that, you shouldn't question them at all, or you got to be demonized or have something else, wrong with you to throw you off track. Mm-hmm. It's really, it is what it is. And, the only carrot on the string that they keep waving in front is, to keep you locked into all this illusion that they have is that, they're promising you if you follow what they say that you're going to be saved at Armageddon and resurrected. And so, I mean, it's, my conclusion at a very, early age was that religion is there to either make you or break you. And my personal suggestion is just to research everything. Knowledge is only forbidden because with it, we can set ourselves free. And if there were any punishment or consequence for seeking answers or truth, then, we wouldn't have been instructed to do it in the Bible by Jesus himself. And he instructed people to seek the truth. And it's so funny to me how religions use only the parts of the Bible that fit into their program. So I just think your article really gives some great advice, Greg. I mean, you have to ask questions. You have to be willing to put all things aside and truly go within yourself instead of looking at other people in judgment. Look at these religions and put them in the eyes of scrutiny for once, Make them answer some questions. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all have the same common enemy with this, and that's the deceptive forces that have had us living in this illusion for centuries. It's time to bring it down, man.
I agree. Now, let me ask you this: are the Jehovah's Witnesses the religion that believes that the UFO will come down, or is that?
No, I think it's Scientology. I'm pretty sure. No, the witnesses, UFOs and aliens, I don't think is part of their vocabulary.
It's one of them.
They tend to stray away.
Yeah, I just can't remember which one it is that believes in the great UFO. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I agree that, you look at all the inquisitions and wars and crusades and everything else that's gone on in religion, and you got to ask yourself, what kind of loving God is this? He's all loving one chapter, and then he gets all pissed off and flips out Noah and his family in the next chapter, and then they want us to believe that we all came from Noah and his family, and it's just a bunch of hot air and BS, if you ask me. But
no, I was just saying, I think also, too, is, we have to learn to let go of the ego. And, most people, I honestly feel, are so afraid, I think, to realize, that they could be wrong or could have been wrong this whole time. They want to try to hold on to these illusions and programs because of fear of losing their identities, when in fact, you're discovering your true identity when you break free from the program. It feels foreign to you because you've been programmed to be, you haven't been programmed to be free thinkers. We've been whipped and beaten into these little cookie cutter shapes and sizes that support the agendas of these, ones that are in power. So, I mean, I think you have to lose the fear first.
That's a great point, because what you're saying is basically groupthink, when people get locked into believing the same belief that everybody else believes in without questioning the origins of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really how I feel anyway. I mean, it's fear that keeps people from exploring within themselves, and we all know that the kingdom of heaven is within us. Mm-hmm. It's not outside of us, it's inside. Our bodies are the temple of the soul of man's temple, Solomon's temple. That's why I love Santos Bonacci. He demystifies that whole thing. Bill Donahue does the same thing. So, if we're programmed to live outside of ourselves, then we're living in their illusion, and that's what they want, obviously, So I say down with the bloody programs.
Me too. Now, we've interviewed Jordan Maxwell a couple times here on In5D Radio, and Jordan Maxwell interviewed Dr. Alan Snow, who got his Ph.D. in the astrology of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and his research into this material led him into becoming an alcoholic after finding out the truth behind religion.
I had a friend who passed away, so I can talk about it now. He passed away about 5 years ago now. He had gotten his Ph.D. from Claremont School of Theology. Well, Claremont happens to be one of the 2 universities in America who actually has a full photographic representation of the Dead Sea Scrolls. This doctor friend of mine got his Ph.D. studying the Dead Sea Scrolls, and he did a doctoral thesis on the Dead Sea Scrolls, and his doctoral work was on astrology in the Dead Sea Scrolls. No one had ever written about that. So my friend who got his Ph.D. on the Dead Sea Scrolls, we would sit for hours and listen to him, and he would explain the Hebrew religion, where it came from, who the Jews were, who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls, and what was really in it that nobody knows. But then he told me, he says, and so after I got my doctorate, I started my own church, and it was called the Church of the Americas, I think. He was asked to travel all over the world to give lectures on the Dead Sea Scrolls, etc. And he said, but after looking at Judaism and studying it and getting a Ph.D. in it, I came to the conclusion that the whole entire story of Judaic Christianity is full of bull. There are things in the Dead Sea Scrolls that will never be given to the people. Never. They will never be told. He says, so when I left the church, I founded a church, and had all kinds of accolades. I mean, when I go to his home, he had all these certificates from universities around the world. They give him an honorary doctorate here and honorary doctorate there. But he unfortunately became a confirmed alcoholic. And he would tell you stuff that was in the Dead Sea Scrolls nobody's ever heard. He said, I became so disillusioned with Christianity and Judaism that I decided I've had enough. I don't know if I'm an atheist or not, but I don't know what it is I am anymore. I'm through with the whole thing because I know too much. I've studied it too much now. And I know too much, so I'm no longer a Christian. I'm no longer care about the Jewish religion. I don't care about any of it. But he was a dear friend of mine, and we sat for days and hours, talked about theology and religion, etc. And he gave me stacks and stacks of documents that he had been studying, and he just gave it all to me. So here it is. There's all the stuff on the Dead Sea Scrolls. Nobody's ever going to know it, but this was my PhD thesis. Take it and have it. So I've got like 4 or 5 hours of interviews with him in private, talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls and religion and Judaism and everything.
So Jordan, he's been on our show, and actually on our show, he announced that he will be releasing the 5 hours of interviews he did with Dr. Snow. So that should be an amazing video series. So what's the solution?
Yeah, I gotta love Jordan Maxwell.
Oh yeah, everyone. Yeah, I've learned so much from him, and he's an amazing guy, and we'll definitely have him back. So what's the solution? Ask lots of questions and go within for answers. It's time to take control of your life instead of giving your energy and power away to others. And speaking of control, that brings up our next topic of money, as we are all economic slaves to the almighty dollar. Now, Kendra, I often ask people this question, and I'm curious what your answer would be. If there was no such thing as money, then what would you be doing with your life?
I mean, that's a really awesome question. I think depending on how much time would be needed or how much would needed to be devoted to self-sustainability. Okay, there I got it out. I would probably just travel as much as possible and see and experience as much as I could. I'd probably fully engage myself into my art. I love my artwork. Helping my friends and family. I mean, I guess life itself would just be limitless possibility. And, money in today's world, it just puts limits on everything. So, I mean, without that, there's no telling what my life would be like, honestly. I mean, the thought alone is very liberating. But, I guess I've owned my own metaphysical store in the past, and I guess there's always been a part of me that has dreamed of maybe having my own holistic type shop again, and, in the future, a place to provide tools and things that can help people achieve a higher spirituality, enhance their sacred spaces and such, And being a massage therapist, of course, I mean, I'd love to be able to focus more on helping people deal with pain and dysfunction in their body, and without, the monetary system that's in place right now, I mean, people could actually get help they needed without really worrying if they could afford it. So, yeah, wow. I mean, endless possibilities there for sure. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Now, I know a lot of people know who Max Egan is, and it'd be great to get him on as a guest on In5D Radio. I was listening to one of his latest videos that I posted on In5D News, and he said something that really brings it home when you're talking about money and control.
But really, when you look at it, folks, all demands we make of others and all claims that we make over others, these are all our choice to exercise a right of ownership or claim jurisdiction over another person. Really, it all comes down to jurisdiction, doesn't it? I mean, that's one way of looking at it anyway. I mean, if you are claiming you have the right to control the actions of your spouse, for example, then you would be claiming that you have jurisdiction over your spouse. When really you don't. You don't have jurisdiction over anybody but yourself. And it's important to also recognize that nobody else has jurisdiction over you. And that's really the best way to conduct a relationship with anybody, folks. Allow yourself to stay on your path, but always allow your partner to stay on their path as well. And you should always be operating in a manner in which your path complements their path. And your path, though being unique to yourself, also complements their path and helps your spouse become all that they could possibly be. Because why would you want anything less than that for the person that you love? And to me, that's what a relationship would be.
So basically what Max is saying, your boss is claiming jurisdiction and ownership over you because he or she pays you a wage or salary. Perhaps if we were to look at our employers from this perspective, it might motivate someone to begin following their own path and to possibly, based on their own being their own boss, which is ultimately, what we are. We are our own bosses, and the only people we really need to answer to is ourselves, our higher selves and the Creator. Now, Kendra, I know you had an issue with a previous employer who put the almighty dollar ahead of your client's best interests. You want to share that story?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true, and I really didn't know how to handle it first. My first, instinct was just complete and total disgust. But I think anyone who has a passion for helping people and gets involved in a career or field of work, that's meant to allow you to do that. With the way the system's set up right now, I just think most of us are in for a lot of frustration and disappointment. But it's really hard to find employers that put their customers or their patients' well-being ahead of their own greed. It just goes back to what your article reads, Greg. The advice that you give is to find something that you love to do and make a living doing it. But to be your own boss is really the ultimate way to go, because otherwise you have to find a job or a position where you can work with others that have that same passion and ethical standard that you have, And, can you even imagine how huge of an impact that would be on the world if everyone just decided to stop working for these monsters and these corporations and businesses and just, start their own humanitarian-based services with the greater good of humanity in mind? It would be awesome. Mm-hmm. But, I have to be kind of careful, how I say certain things. But, basically the gist of it was that, I was being expected to compromise my beliefs and what I was trying to do to help people, and I just wasn't willing to do that. I just wasn't willing to allow myself to be told that I couldn't help somebody to the level or degree that I knew that they needed to be helped because of other things that were more important to the employer. Mm-hmm. I guess is what I can say comfortably enough here. But and I think that a lot of people out there in corporate America have run into the same situation. If you were given the opportunity to do things the way that you see fit, that you seem fair and right, the world would be a much different place. But instead, we've got these dogs barking at our feet, telling us what to do, how to do it, and if we talk back or do something outside what they want us to do, then you lose your job. You face being homeless or out on the street, not being able to eat. So I think your advice is perfect. You break away from it as quickly as you possibly can, and do your own thing, do what makes you happy. We've got to take responsibility for the way things are going. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Now, I wrote an article on In5D called How to Find Your Life Purpose, and it shows you a number of ways to find what you're truly supposed to be doing in this lifetime. And you're going to make mistakes along the way, but every mistake is still going to lead you toward your life purpose. So what is the solution? And Kendra pretty much nailed it on the head. Ultimately, if you can get completely off the grid, then you'll be better off than most people. But unfortunately, we live in a society where money is needed and for most people to exist. So find whatever it is that you enjoy doing and try to make a living doing it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might have to work 2 jobs at the same time for a little while. I know, I was a child and family therapist and built my websites at night. So you might want to look at whatever hobbies and interests you have and perhaps try to create something within those areas. And if you have the opportunity, buy from local mom-and-pop stores and do that instead of shopping at Walmart. And that's one way to take down these big-ass corporations.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and I also think with money, it's also a matter of putting things into perspective for yourself. I can't necessarily say that I feel living in, in a really nice place and having different outfits for every day of the week, or, for months on end, or, high dollar fancy jewelry, fancy car. And, that gives people, some satisfaction, sure, but, these treasures that we hold so dear to us are some of the same reasons why things are so darn out of balance right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think what's important really is to find a deeper meaning to life and understand what true happiness really means. And if it's dependent on, material possessions, then I think we really need to seriously reevaluate what's truly important right now. Your happiness should come from within you. And if you can find something to do that not only genuinely makes you feel good, but at the same time not sacrifice your own spiritual growth or hurt others by doing it, then I say so be it.
Okay, and I completely agree. Definitely. Find whatever it is that makes you happy and try to make a living doing it. Now, I see that we have a caller here, area code 248. You're on In5D Radio with Gregg and Kendra. Can I get your name? Area code 248. Hello?
They look like they're still muted on my end.
No, I see the red light live going. Area code 248. Going once, going twice, and we're going to put you on hold. So they might just be listening. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to move on. One of the best ways to deprogram yourself is to get away from everything that's man-made and to connect with nature. And just a reminder, as I was just answering that phone call, we have open lines right now, so if you'd like to call in and tell us how you connect with nature or any of these other topics that we're talking about, feel free to do so at 646-716-8890. Now, I've said this before on In5D Radio. I like taking what I call a walk of gratitude on the beach, and I'll go to the beach and I'll walk to the end where there's this seawall, and that's my reminder to thank the Creator, the universe, my spirit guides and guardian angels, my friends and family on both sides of the veil, our galactic neighbors and friends, and Mother Earth. And I go through each one of these and specifically say what I'm grateful for. And then on my walk back, I do what I call a love bubble meditation where I envision a huge bubble of love around me. And everyone that enters this bubble picks up that energy. Sometimes I can almost hear this little popping sound. So Kendra, what do you do to connect with nature?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm a nature girl. Being an earth sign and everything, I'd love to take walks in the forest. I love anything that kind of breaks me away and brings me to that peaceful, deep relaxation mode. And the way that I really am able to get into that groove is by surrounding myself with the trees. That's why I kind of moved out here to Ocala, and I know, it's, like the rain capital of the world. I understand, but being an earth sign, like I was saying, nature practically demands my attention. My artwork is usually always fairies, mermaids, creatures from mythology. So that helps me connect to nature too. I'm a rock hound. I love working with crystals and stone energies. Meditation outside, like I said, anytime I can surround myself with trees and flowers, anything and all things green, that's just where I really resonate the highest. I love it.
So that and hula hooping out in nature.
There you go. Yeah. The bruises on my hips here are about the same color as the oak tree leaves outside.
So what is that hula hoop thing called that you're doing?
It's actually hoop dancing is there's a bunch of different companies out there, I guess, that are promoting it, but the one I decided to get my hoop from was called Hoopnautica, and it's just it's a great way to get in shape. It's a good way to express yourself through the art of hoop dancing. It can be hazardous to your health at first. I've already popped my lip a few times, and I'm pretty black and blue, but it's a lot of fun. And I wanted something I could do that was fun and kind of reminded me that, I have that child deep down inside, and I think we need to, resurrect that feeling inside of us sometimes too. Mm-hmm. So lots of fun.
How do you get a bruised lip from hula hooping?
Well, if you're just doing regular hula hooping, that's one thing. But, some of these tricks are really, really tricky. There's one where you actually have to get the hula hoop to kind of, it's called a lasso, and you somehow transition the hula hoop from around your waist. In one move, you lift the hula hoop over your head and start swinging it above your head. So there's a little bit of a opportunity there for things to go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So when can we expect the instructional video?
I'm waiting until I can get a little bit more, solid on a few things.
Well, no. What you can do is, this is what not to do right now.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, my gosh. That would be a disaster. But, yeah, I recommend it for anybody who, remembers hula hooping as a child and wants something fun to do. It's great. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
One of my favorite books is by Sonia Choquette, and it's called True Balance. And in one of those chapters, she says that if you're ever feeling down or depressed, to look outside at nature, because what you're going to see is a lot of green. And as you know, green is the color of the heart chakra. And with all that rain, it's really green up there in Ocala.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it sure is. Jumanji-like. Oh, geez. But like I said, today was pretty good. We actually had some sunshine that lasted the whole day through. No rain.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel good.
Well, I see another caller. Do you want to bring that one in?
Sure thing. I had some issues a minute ago, technically speaking. So, wow, this is a strange number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see.
I like it.
All right. Hello. I have a 111 area code. Are you there? Hello. You're live on In5D Radio.
Yes. Hi, welcome to In5D Radio.
How are y'all?
Doing good here.
Hi.
Can we get your name?
I was just listening via my computer wasn't giving me right to be able to listen to the show, so I'm listening on my phone.
Okay.
I appreciate everything you've done for me since about 2010. I've been on your website, was going through a rough time in my life and in my marriage at the time. Started going to church because that's what I grew up, doing. You go to church when you mess up in life, or you're supposed to go to church. And questions were coming up. No one could answer. I set up meetings with deacons. No one could help me out. Eventually got on the website. Basically found out that there's many paths to get to the top of the mountain. And ever since then, I check in. I try to meditate when I can. Go on walks, go on hikes. But as I still work for the government, I've gotten out the military, but I still work for the government just to be able to make ends meet. Time that I used to have when I was in the military, believe it or not. So your website's a blessing for me. I'm sure it's a blessing for a lot of people. Your show has put me in contact with Sean Coe to get a reading from her. I learned a lot from that. Just a plethora of things, but I just wanted to thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you for being part of the In5D family.
That's not a problem.
Okay, bro. What we'll do is we'll put you on hold, and that way you can listen in, and feel free to call in anytime down the road, all right?
All right, sounds good. Thanks, brother.
Okay, take care now.
You too, man.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So, one of the things I like doing to just connect is I have a palm tree right outside my place, and I'll go out there at night and I'll do a little stargazing, and occasionally I'll just sit under the palm tree and meditate right there. It just brings me so much comfort to be there. And another good thing to do is just maybe sun gazing too, if you want to get out and connect. But be sure that you research sun gazing thoroughly beforehand, and only sun gaze the first or last hour of available sunlight. So definitely do your homework. But man, that's another amazing way to really connect with nature and get grounded. And that's what you need to do, is ground yourself with the things that are important in life, and that way it really helps to deprogram yourself.
Absolutely. And with the topic of nature, I often think of Dr. Seuss's Lorax movie, and I know, we're getting back in the whole movie thing, but, I remember watching that as a kid and asking myself, well, if everyone watches this, then surely they've got to know that these things are bad. And so why are we even worried about it? I mean, I just didn't take it very seriously, I guess, because, in my young little mind, I thought, well, if they already know that these things are harmful to the planet, then, obviously, we don't have anything to worry about because people aren't going to allow this, right? They're not going to do it, right? So it just amazes me how, the mind of a child can see things so much clearer. And yet as we get older and more programmed, the illusion kind of takes over and we become the once-lers of the world, So I think getting back into that childlike state of mind is also going to help us out a lot too, to shed some of this off and get back to our roots, and that's being one with the earth. So nature's wonderfully powerful to help you with the deprogramming. So absolutely.
But I agree with you. Never let loose of that inner child, because once you do, you're going to be an adult the rest of your life. But if you hang on to that inner child, man, you can still have a lot of fun, no matter what your age is. And I see in the chat room, Gemini Moon says, "Love palm trees," with a little heart next to it, and I do too. I've got a little story. I had this dream one time where I met my spirit guide, and she introduced herself. She looked like she was this Mesoamerican woman with long black hair and a beautiful white flowing gown, and she introduced herself as Tamara, and I remember her saying that and just saying over and over again in my mind, Tamara, 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 because I didn't want to forget her name. But I said it so many times in my mind that I woke myself up out of the dream, and here it is, like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, okay, I give up. So I go online, and I look up what Tamara means, and it means palm tree. So, and the irony behind that story is I grew up in upstate New York, and I've always had this affinity to palm trees and the ocean. And now it all makes sense when she came through and actually said that her name was Tamara. So anyway, so moving on, the solution actually is to find the time to get out there and to connect with nature, whether that's taking a long walk in the woods, a stroll on the beach, or meditating under a palm tree. Many of us work throughout the day, and there's not a lot of daylight left to do some of these things. But one of my favorite things to do at night is stargazing. So, just shut off your TV and watch a show that's worth seeing every night, and it's right outside your house. Even on a cloudy night, you can tune into the wind or the crickets or frogs, or even if you live in the city, you can still go for a short walk and train yourself how to clear your mind despite the distractions. And I see that there is another caller here, and we have area code 780. You're on In5D Radio with Gregg and Kendra. Can we get your name?
Hey, it's Jay calling from Canada. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Hey.
Doing pretty good. From way up north to way down south.
Indeed. So, how are you doing tonight? What would you like to talk about, Jay?
I'm just listening to your show and, talking about how to deprogram yourself. Actually, this is a very interesting topic, especially on this day of this trine and this Star of David, if you want to call it, of the energy of the astrology right now is really, really interesting. You're talking about nature. Yeah, getting out in nature. It's very, very important that we do that. Because we're all connected with nature. But also, I'd like to add another thing is that saying no to stuff that kind of like sucks us into being addicted to, eh? Especially the mobile technology. I'm not a big fan of that because I find that it's really, really consuming a lot of our hours and our mental stuff that really hampers our spiritual growth. So, how many hours do you spend each day or a minute do you spend each day, on the cell phone texting or how, every time you have to look at your cell phone every 5 minutes, right? So it really gets you away from being in the moment. So I'm not a big fan of that. I think that's one thing I did say no to is stuff like that because it just really hampers your growth.
Yeah, not to mention all the the EMF waves and everything else that's involved with that.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I think also, too, it's about also the food that we eat, actually. We have to get away from to actually start seeing stuff out there or feeling stuff out there that when we eat foods that are not very healthy for you and keep you kind of like addicted to things, maybe, sugar and salt and whatever, then that's another way you can go too, is, look at your diet. When you're deprogramming yourself, you got to look at almost every aspect of your life, of what's around you and what are you doing, even to the household cleaners that you're using too, right? And say no to the TV, and there's a lot of things you got to really kind of look at from a deep perspective. What is it doing to me? So there's a lot of no's, I think, right now for myself. Say no to this, no to that.
Well, once you jump into the rabbit hole, there's no returning. So once you start learning about all this stuff that's bad for you, and you start learning ways to deprogram your mind, life becomes a whole new ball game.
Yeah, it does.
Yep, absolutely.
But I was actually a long time ago. I went to a church that I saw a sign, like I saw a street sign, and I was, I'm going to go see what it's like. And every time when I went there, every time the minister was saying something, it would be like, like the word Jesus every 30 seconds or so, right? And I was watching the person in the front, and the person would raise the hand, and the minister would acknowledge the other person, and by the time you got out there, you're just like, okay, if I hear that word again, it's in my head now, right? So it was really interesting. Yeah, that's right. I know, it's really interesting. So it's interesting how that works too, right? You go, well, like, okay, why are they saying it all the time, eh? So yeah, it's interesting.
They want to make sure it's embedded into your brain.
Oh, it was almost getting there. It's like, oh my God! So I didn't stay very long either. So yeah, so it's a lot of initiatives out there to kind of like program us into being something that we're not. So yeah, it's when you wake up and smell the roses, if you want to call it that we see who we truly are, and just work from there. And yeah, it makes it a different life, if you want to call it that, more freedom and more of a abundant one too. So yeah, that's my perspective on what you're talking about tonight.
Well, definitely appreciate that, Jay, for calling in and sharing your experiences with our In5D listeners, with you being part of our In5D family. Are there any other closing thoughts that you have?
No, I think it's just 2013 is a great time for opportunity if people do take the chances of going for it. And I'd say just I still feel like what Kendra was saying is doing the meditation. And what you're saying, Greg, also is just the meditation part of it. I know people say they can't meditate, but I feel that it's really calming in this period of chaos right now, if you want to call it that, if there is chaos in the universe. There always is, and I feel that it's very important that you work on self than finding the virtual escapism that people are doing right now, and it's that's just the way to go. It's just something that's very simple and very ancient that we did a long time ago to enlighten ourselves instead of being programmed into being slaves, if you want to call it that. So yeah.
Yep, just go within.
Absolutely.
That's
and if
right.
if meditation seems to be difficult for some people to just want to just jump into, there's literally tons of things that we can do to help deprogram from the mind and the body. It's just about it's just about finding what works well for you. Gregg's got so many articles. In the Immunix, there's tapping, there's, playing with the frequencies. My gosh, you can do tuning forks, tinctures, singing bowls, take a salt bath, detox with magnetic clays. There's all the different types of massages that you can go and have. Ayurveda offers Shiodara massages, extremely wonderful for, just deprogramming the body and the mind. Reiki, aura brushing, put a salt lamp in your house, put some organite in there, it's really amazing all the different things that we can do to help ourselves right now. I mean, it's wonderful, and most of these articles you can find right on In5D, which it's great that we've got this. So, yeah, wonderful.
You could even hula hoop.
There you go.
That's right. You can hula hoop, yeah.
Oh, you don't want to see me hula hoop, I'm telling you.
Oh, goodness. Yep. Well, I actually do want to see hula hoop, but... No.
That's not a good thing. Well, Jay, thank you for calling, brother. And don't be a stranger here. Feel free to call back anytime.
Well, thanks so much. Thanks so much for allowing me to be a part of the show.
Jay.
Good show. Thank you again.
All right.
Thanks, Kendra. Thanks, Greg.
Take care now. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. You're welcome.
So if religion is the oldest form of mind control, then one of the most popular forms would be watching TV. And basically, you're being hypnotized every time you watch a TV clip.
The human race, overwhelmingly, is under mass hypnosis, programmed to see itself and the world in a certain way. When people start to get it and start to see the world in a much different way, they use this term. They say, I woke up. Exactly. Waking up from the trance we've been put into. What's the biggest hypnotist on planet Earth? The box in the corner of the room, which is constantly telling us what to believe is real, what to believe is possible, what to believe is right, what to believe is wrong, what to believe is moral and immoral. Hypnosis is what it is. We see things not as they are, but as we are. And when we see the world only through the five senses, because I'm Joe Bloggs and Ethel Smith, and we drop into body consciousness alone, then we drop into a box of limitation. And once we have stopped connecting with higher levels of our consciousness and observing the world from that point, we only have one place to go to get a fix on who we are and the nature of reality, and that's out there through the eyes and the ears. And who controls that? The mainstream media, the education system.
I remember watching this interview on Fox News via YouTube about this college professor, Kevin Barrett, who planned on using 9/11 as an example in the classroom where he taught. And the video shows you step by step how the Fox interviewer would constantly use neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. And so they're showing a split screen of these two people, and right after Barrett was introduced, you would see the interviewing using a nonverbal gesture with his hands going to the left, which on a subconscious level tells you that the interviewer thinks that Barrett is an extremist left-winger. And you'll see this time and time again. I'm not making this stuff up. For example, the interviewer might be trying to make his point while holding his hand in the OK position, like where your index finger and your thumb makes a circle and the three other fingers are upright. So he does this while facing the camera, but what that hand gesture is really saying is, on a subconscious level, is that the interviewee has a small penis. Neuro-linguistic program, it's true, that's what he's trying to say. Neuro-linguistic programming is all about timing and redirecting the interview in order to make the interviewer look like the voice of reason while discrediting the interviewee. And these guys who do the interviews on any mainstream media news broadcast are experts at neuro-linguistic programming. So what are your observations, Kendra?
Yeah, I think that they've become experts at hijacking our minds.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I mean, the subliminal messages and TV commercials, I mean, it's crazy. And if you think that, that you're not being programmed by your television, I mean, you can just watch your children and see how many things that they say or do that emulate something that they've seen or heard on TV or even radio. So, I mean, they have literally mastered the ability to hijack our minds. I believe it completely wholeheartedly. And, electronics right now are being pushed so hard onto our kids. I mean, the iPhone, which in itself is a bit creepy. I mean, the iPhone, you think the I means internet or intelligence? I mean, I think it means exactly what it says. It's an eye, and we all know what the eye is, watching over us, no doubt. I mean, these devices know everything about you. It's not just a simple byproduct from technology that they're offering to us either. And like you said, earlier, the EMFs that these devices are putting off, they're extremely highly toxic to the body. So now you've got, your TV going, programming your brain. You've got wireless Wi-Fi internet roaming around in your house, smart meters, all the other household devices running all day. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel paranoid. It is what it is,
Mm-hmm.
But, all night, all day, this is just bombarding your entire body, your brain. I mean, and it's not noticeable to most people, but when they start getting those headaches and the migraines and the anxiety attacks, the dizziness and the other symptoms of, EMF poisoning, then they go straight to their doctor, and, then you got the cycle started, and it all just comes back down to that same problem, reaction, solution agenda. It's terrible. So, I mean, I completely and firmly believe it. I mean, I do watch TV from time to time. Yes, I do. But I also am aware enough to know, and it's funny because when you're awakened to that, you can catch it. You can actually see what they're doing to put this crap in your head. And, I even pointed it out to my kids. If we're sitting down, watching TV and I see something come up and I'll be like, hey, did you guys notice that? Did you catch that? Do you know why they're doing that? I mean, I try to turn it into a learning tool for them so that they can become aware of the program. So, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Well, TV programming is the literal programming of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. And it's like I mentioned in the article, you never see an introvert on a TV commercial. It's always a group of extroverts living this fictitious life that we're supposed to aspire to have for ourselves, when at the same commercials telling us that, if we're not successful, happy, or beautiful, if we don't buy that product, then we totally suck as a person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you also see these subliminal messages in children's cartoons. Now, Disney is nefarious for this. For example, they had that penis-shaped tower on the cover of the Little Mermaid DVD, and on the same DVD, the crab has a boner while looking up at Ariel. And then there's another video where Dumbo is flashing his penis, or the Lion King is that one clip in the Lion King where the dust comes up in the air and it spells the word sex in the sky, and then before the dust settles, it forms the shape of a penis. Now, I am not making this up, and I'll tell you what. I'll post a link to this in the chat room for people to check it out. Give me a second here. Here it is, and there it goes. And in that video, an animator for Disney blows the whistle on how they were specifically ordered to draw penises in their cartoons. So it makes you wonder if this patriarchal society knows that they're on their last leg and are still trying to reinforce the masculine image, even though these energies are changing. Have you ever seen any of those videos, Kendra, that I was talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I remember the cover of The Little Mermaid, and then for a while there, you couldn't even find the original cover because, of course, they try to scoop them all up, after it was, came out in the open. But there's also one in Aladdin, I think it was. Yeah, where there's a scene, and I think you can still get this on YouTube, where there was a scene in there where it says something about all teenagers take off your clothes or something crazy like that. Yeah, so I mean, it's really, come on, man, it's just out of control. It really is. It really is. So we just got to be careful, I guess, what we allow our kids to watch, and be in the same room with them. Don't just turn it on and pretend like it's a babysitter and walk away. I think it's really up to us to be fully engaged in what they're watching and listening to. Absolutely.
It's like even that Budweiser commercial. There's a lot of great commercials that are out there that touch your heart, like the baby Clydesdale horse. Where this guy raises the baby Clydesdale horse, and he ends up having to give it away to the Clydesdale people, and the horse is going down in some parade, and the guy sees a horse, the horse sees the guy, and then at the end they unite with each other. But what the message is really saying, and it's a really touching commercial, but what that message is really saying is, to the people, and people are going to talk about it, and they're going to say, oh, I love that commercial. I love that horse. I love Budweiser. And that's what they're trying to get across. Love, 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 but what are you really loving? The product. It's not the horse.
Absolutely. Yep.
So what is the solution? It's so obviously blatant. Stop watching TV. And if you absolutely have to watch TV, then record it, and preferably record educational programs, and then just skip over the commercials.
Excellent advice.
Thank you. And speaking of the media, the mainstream media keeps our senses overstimulated to the point where we feel too exhausted to meditate You know, Kendra, I couldn't tell you how many times people say that they can't find the time to meditate.
It's sad but true. I mean, people really have got to start learning what their priorities are. And you know, there really is no excuse. I mean, even if it's just, 5 or 10 minutes, my goodness. I mean, I find the time somehow, because you owe that to yourself. You owe that to yourself, really, you do. And it does make a huge difference. And, I mean, maybe meditation, throws people off. They think, it's too hard or something else, or I don't want to learn how to do it. I don't have the time to learn how to do it. It doesn't take any amount of time at all. Just, sit down and just, turn everything off around you. Find a quiet space, and just close your eyes. Take deep breaths in and out. I mean, there you go. That's the start of it right there. And I think for the most part, too, our bodies are just, when we give ourselves the opportunity, our bodies just take it and run with it anyway. I mean, we're built to do that. We're made to do that, or meant to do it. So, we're not meant to be sitting in front of a TV for hours and hours, but we are meant to connect with our higher self. We are meant to meditate. That's what we're supposed to do. So it's going to feel natural to you once you start. It might feel a little strange at first, but you'll feel it. It'll feel very natural in a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, one of the best ways to deprogram your mind is to clear it through meditation. Not only are you doing something constructive with your free time, but you're also making that connection to what really matters. And like you were saying, and that connection is between you and your higher self and the Creator.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, the solution is real simple. Try to find the time to meditate, even if it's only for a few minutes each day. And try experimenting with different meditation techniques, such as the third eye mirror meditation, where you can see yourself change into different aspects of yourself, or the open eye meditation, which teaches you how to meditate no matter how many distractions are around you. And you can find these along with many more meditations on In5D.com. Have you ever tried any of those meditations, the open eye or the third eye mirror meditation?
Yeah, actually, I did. And it's funny because I did this back when I was about, like 12 or 13 years of age with my mother. Because back then we were really, doing a lot of research as to, our own spirituality. It was a great opportunity growing up to be, given that opportunity, to experience some of this stuff. But yeah, and, when you're younger and things seem to be a little bit more scary, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit freaked out, with the mirror meditation, where you place the candle in front of the mirror and you look in and you actually can start to see things. But, that's, something that you have to overcome eventually. You have to overcome that fear,
Mm-hmm.
And, but, now that I'm older and everything, I'm much more spiritually advanced than I would have been if I didn't have those experiences as a young person. So I think that these things are not just meant for us to do as adults, but I think we should get our kids involved too. Bring them into the picture. The earlier that you can start with them and teach them not to fear these things, I think you're giving them a beautiful gift. It really is. It's a beautiful way to connect with your kids, but start when they're younger, because once you wait until they're teenagers, whoa. It's going to be awful hard to pull them away from the, their little telephones and their PS3s and all that other stuff. So, get them while they're younger and start with them at that point and teach them not to have that fear, that limitation of fear. I wish I would have not have had so much fear, but yeah, mm-hmm. There are really some great advice and great things that you've got on In5D to help people to discover these methods. So,
well, I really love that third eye mirror meditation. I've done it numerous times, and it's really not for the beginner. It's not for the person just starting out in meditation, because what you're going to see are different aspects of yourself. You're going to see your face just change into all sorts of different people, and sometimes it might not be what you want to see. I've seen what I can only describe as like a demon-looking entity staring right back at me with these big red eyes and huge fangs. And at the time, I just told it, "You're not welcome here. I'm asking you to leave." And then I went through my meditation ritual and you can find this on In5D too, what to do before you meditate. And went through and did my whole protection thing and went back and picked up where I left off. But another time I was doing that third eye meditation, and it was really cool. I'm focusing in on my third eye with the candle in front of me and all the lights are off. And over my left shoulder, there's this huge orange orb just hovering right there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was so cool. So you never know, what you're going to get out of that meditation. So, and getting to the open eye meditation, I tell that to people, go check out that article on the open eye meditation, because if anybody out there is having problems meditating and trying to clear their mind, this is the best one out there. For example, what you can do is imagine just sitting down and then having, almost like in a triangle shape, two bottles in front of you. One would be off to your left, maybe about 6 to 8 feet off, and the other would be about 6 to 8 feet off to your right. And what you do is you look forward, but yet you try to focus on both of those bottles at the same time. And when you're doing that, your mind can't think of anything else, because what you're doing is you're interacting both hemispheres of your brain, and it kind of almost, I don't want to use this word, but it almost short-circuits it to the point of where your mind is absolutely clear. Now, you could do this in the middle of a busy park, on the beach of a crowded beach or something, and it's going to clear your mind instantly. So definitely check out those meditations. Like I said, the third eye mirror meditation. Yeah, if you're a beginner, you don't want to go into that one just yet. But, if you're learning how to meditate and you really want to know what it's like to have your mind cleared, check out that open eye meditation. Now, what meditations do you enjoy doing? Is there any type or style, or?
I don't really have one particular set way of meditating. I am kind of just, whatever I have time to do, whatever and I do make time for certain things, yes, but whatever I do have time to do, whatever, my environment allows for me to do. I mean, I do have a house with, 2 kids in it and everything, so it's not always the best, optimal time for me to do meditation, but I'll just find myself come into my room, I'll tell, Lars, hey, I'm going to be upstairs for a little while, and I'll just sit here and, just close my eyes, start doing my deep breathing, and, just try to clear my mind of as much garbage as I possibly can, and just wait for things to start happening. And I just wait until I start seeing something, and I'll just go with it. It's almost kind of like, a dream state that I try to get into. But, and also outside, I've noticed that if I just stand there or sit down on my yoga mat outside on the deck, and I just start, feeling the sun rays hit my body and hit my head, I just go with it. I just start imagining that, healing, loving energy from the sun coming down and, healing my body and just taking in that energy. And I just imagine my cells and my body, my skin, generating vitamin D and just, it's really just whatever comes to mind, Greg, really, with me. Whatever comes to mind, whatever feels right in that moment is what I usually go with.
And that's a good point. And like I mentioned in the solution, try experimenting with different meditation techniques. There's a cajillion of them out there, but you know what? In the end, find what resonates with you. What I do is, for example, there'll be times where I might meditate where I just clear my mind of everything and nothing's going on. There's other times where I'll close my eyes and I'll focus in. I'll get these purplish-like images that will start appearing, and then I'll focus in on that. Or sometimes this white light will appear, and I just zoom into that. There's times where I'm either clearing my mind or doing something that is involved with perhaps getting a download or some kind of message through my meditation. So, bottom line is just experiment, find out what's right with you. And, I suggest on the what to do before you meditate a bunch of different things, and you can tailor that too. It doesn't have to be exactly that, even though it's kind of like a guided meditation where you can just listen to it and follow along with what I'm saying. But, just take it and feel free to turn it into something that is all your own and take it from there.
I agree. I think meditation is, in a lot of ways, it's like an art form, you just kind of let your your imagination take you, and the creativity of that just comes out, and just be ready to receive and be ready to accept whatever comes to you. Absolutely. Yeah, that's where we get a lot of inspiration, is from that connection with Source. So as long as you're plugging in, who knows what'll happen. I think that's kind of the beauty of it. It's kind of like I don't know, just some kind of grab bag I'm waiting to get, you know?
Well, yeah, they actually say that there's a study that was done, and they say that all these people come up with the same ideas at the same time, and they live all across the different parts of the planet. And this happened hundreds of years ago, before we had the communication that we have now. And what happens is ideas travel along the ether, and people can tune into those ideas, and then all of a sudden you're going to have these amazing inventions coming up out of the middle of nowhere all over the world at the same time. So you never know what you're going to tune into when you get into that meditative state. Now, I see that we have a caller online here. It's area code 910. Hi, you're with Gregg and Kendra on In5D Radio. Can I get your name?
Yeah, this is Carrington again. It's the line disconnected. I was listening earlier.
Oh, okay. Okay, you came back as a different number.
That's funny.
Yep.
That's my actual number, the 910. I don't know what it was before.
111. Actually, I can say because it was one of those numbers that come up that's computer generated, but it was 111, 111, 1111.
Maybe that means something for me. Maybe I needed to hear all the ones. I don't know. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely a good sign. So, yeah, you got all those ones working for you, brother.
I'll follow the ones down the rabbit hole.
Follow the ones. Indeed. So, yeah, okay. So what we'll do is we'll just put you on hold so you can listen in, okay?
That sounds great. If I could say something, though, real quick on the meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Thank you. I was one of those who didn't think I could meditate, thought it was really hard. You have to concentrate on nothing, so you have to try to empty your mind. So I would try really hard until I gained a migraine. And that's my kid screaming in the background. But I would, one thing that I found that worked for me out of the cajillion things that are out there is a company called HemiSync. They make these CDs. What I did was burn it onto the computer, then transfer it onto my phone. And whenever I could get some free time, it's about an hour's worth, and you just sit there, put my headphones on, and go. And I've gotten to a great state to where I don't know if it's like a purple background with black clouds or black background with purple clouds, but I could get to this point where I know it's like I'm almost gone. It's like I'm looking into something, and it's like I'm traveling through it, but I'm not quite there yet. And I haven't meditated frequently enough to be able to get past that plateau. But it was just one method that's worked for me, putting it out there for the listeners. HemiSync was the product. I got it at a metaphysical store down in Colorado Springs.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome, and I thank you for, definitely. Thanks for sharing, because I'm sure that's going to help some of our listeners out there too.
Sure enough, brother.
All right, so we'll put you on hold, and definitely feel free to call in anytime you want. All right.
Will do, man.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, take care, bro.
Take care.
Yeah, and I think that this project that you're working on with the Solfeggio, I hope I said that correctly.
Yeah.
That the MP3s and that you're going to be having, I think that'll be helpful too, very much so for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking that too. See, we're writing that wave.
Riding the wave.
Future. Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking the same thing. I'm going to be coming out with 84 different variations of 6 different solfeggios, and it's just going to be amazing. You're going to be able to pick and choose exactly which one resonates with you the most, whether it's a straight solfeggio, one with either holophonic Tibetan bells or waterfalls, or the binaural alpha or theta binaural beats in there, and it's going to be a combination of any and all of those. So you're going to have nighttime, daytime meditations, and all sorts of different meditations to pick and choose on your own. So 84,
cool.
84 in total. And Aloha Jay in the chat room saying the 528. That's one of my favorites. That is definitely one of my favorites too. So one of the things I tell people over and over again is to listen to your body, because your body will always tell you when you're out of sync with it. I used a couple of examples earlier about, taking naps when you're tired and eating high alkaline foods when you have heartburn. And I know you and I were talking about this earlier. Does anyone in your family have metal fillings?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I have some. I know Lars has some. Thankfully enough, neither one of my kids do. So that's wonderful. And I learned enough about it. I learned about this, in time, so that if there is ever an issue, I know to just go out and get some comfrey root and some eggshells and just grow the darn things back out instead of having them filled with mercury. Mm-hmm. Thank you, thankfully, for one of the articles that you posted. But yeah, and it kind of, I know they're there. I know that they're there, and I know what they're probably doing to me. And I just want to go in the bathroom sometime and just come out.
Yeah.
But also, too, when you start researching, the extraction methods that the dentists have to use, I don't know, it's a pretty in-depth procedure to have those removed properly. Because if they're not removed properly, supposedly it can really cause a lot more damage. So what are your suggestions on that, Greg?
Well, I'll tell you, I've got like 15 metal fillings in my mouth. And I swear, the dentist that was on my father's health plan, I think, I don't want to say he did or didn't, but I'm almost sure that he kind of took advantage of my father's health benefits. And it's funny because once I graduated high school, I didn't have a filling afterwards. I haven't had a filling or cavity, in the last 30-some-odd years. But, back in the day back then, it was all metal fillings, and I've got a mouthful of them, and man, I would love to have every freaking one of them taken out, but man, it's costly, and I don't have the cabbage for it.
Yeah. Well, maybe hopefully, when things turning and the monetary system goes poof, and people start helping each other just because we're supposed to be helping each other. And, at that time, maybe we can all just go and get them all ripped out. We'll have a big mercury filling removal party.
Imagine that.
Just go and get them ripped out.
Oh, yeah. A bunch of people sitting around looking like chipmunks.
Oh, jeez.
Drooling.
Pretty nasty stuff.
Drooling from the Novocaine.
A drool party? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So, every one of these toxins in GMOs, fluoride, in our water, aspartame, and so forth, are foreign substances to our bodies. And they not only break down your immune system, but they're also playing a huge role in our vibratory levels. When you eat unhealthy, non-nutritious food, you may feel full, but you're also feeling really heavy and slow and tired. I mean, how many people eat their meals in front of a TV screen? When this happens, most people are prepping themselves to be hypnotized by watching TV, what we were just talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the television in the living room and couch has taken the place of the family dinner table. It really has. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's really sad to see that, we've become like this. It has to change. It really does. It has to change.
Yeah, and it's no coincidence that they do not serve GMOs in Monsanto's own cafeteria.
Oh, gosh, imagine that now.
Yeah, I mean, so what does that tell you? So, between the metal fillings and the aspartame and the fluoride and the GMOs and the junk food and processed food, what is the answer, So many people will tell you, well, I've eaten GMOs for 10 years and I feel great. But, these are the people that are going to be on dialysis for kidney failure and having huge tumors. Did you ever see that study that was done on rats where they fed them GMOs and they had these huge-ass tumors?
Gosh, yes, it's awful. It's awful. They're golf ball-sized tumors, and I feel bad for the rats. But my goodness, they're showing you. So I got to give it to the rat for taking one for the team, man. That's what happens. Jeez. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. So, do you have any final words on that?
No, I mean, I think that we're all marching in the right direction, as far as the GMOs are concerned. I know everybody's been pushing for this labeling thing, and, that's great. And I do believe that there are going to be some technologies in the future that are going to be beneficial to humanity, but they're not utilizing the technology for, the greater good. They're doing it for much more sinister reasons. So, they want the labeling thing to take into effect, and my problem with that is I just want to see the crap burned down and just gone. I just don't want it on the planet. It's killing our bees. What good is it going to do if they put a label on it really anyway? People are buying stuff like Twinkies anyway. What good is that? There's still going to be people that are going to keep buying it. And yes, I believe completely in free will. But I also know that there's a lot of people that are programmed to do these things. So, it's not like if they have the knowledge and the information that they needed that they would really be buying that stuff. It would be really hard for me to believe that would continue on. But, I don't know. I have an issue with the labeling. I think it's good and I think it should be labeled, but I just want to see them banned completely, permanently.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like ass backwards, where the labeling shouldn't have to say whether it's GMOs or not. It should just, if it's organic, they shouldn't have to say anything, okay? But when it is GMO, yeah, definitely it should. Those are the ones that should have the labeling on it. But if you're buying organic, it shouldn't have to have that on there. It's crazy. It's the other way around.
No, and I don't. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. I don't. How much does it cost to get that organic certification? Do you know, Greg?
I don't, but I'm sure they're paying, considerably extra for something that we should be having to begin with.
So, I'm wondering maybe if that's, because everybody, their main complaint about buying organics is because, and it's true. It's ridiculous. You go into Publix or somewhere, you go into the organic section, they want you to pay $5 or $6 for a little tiny, 6-ounce can of spaghetti sauce because it's got USDA certified organic on it.
Mm-hmm.
And my question to that is what the heck? Why? Why is that? And I'm wondering, how much does this organic certification really cost? Are we paying for that little, green sticker on the front, or what? So,
Well, and getting back to what you were saying too, with the colony collapse disorder with the bees and all, so it's not just killing that, and of course we need the bees to pollinate the rest of our, produce and stuff. But it's also poisoning the water supply with all the runoff from the chemicals that they're putting into the plants and everything, and then spraying the plants with, and so it just creates a huge plethora of issues and problems that just are contaminating so many different areas of our life. So, and I know I've brought this up earlier too on In5D, and you kind of touched on it too. There are a couple apps out there. One is called Fooducate, and the other one's called Buycott, Buycott. And when I go to the grocery store, I use both of them. I'll scan each item with both of those products because they give you different information on there. And the hardest part when you're at a grocery store is getting the reception on your cell phone. And and if you ever have a doubt about what's good and what's bad for you and you don't have your cell phone with these apps, then don't buy anything that's in the middle of the store, okay? All that stuff is crap. It's not good for you.
Absolutely.
So you pretty much knock that one out. Have you ever tried those apps, Fooducate or Buycott?
Yeah, actually, we have Android service, but we've got a couple of apps on here too. And I don't even think my phone's going to come on, but yeah, and they're they're very, very helpful, and and everybody's got a phone these days. I hate to say it, but they do. So why not put the technology to good use? Use the tools that are there. It's not just about texting and getting phone calls you really don't want to take, and but use the technology because it's there for you. So yeah, I'm 100% on board with that.
Excellent.
It's great.
Well, just to add to that too, Fooducate and Buycott are both free apps, so you got nothing to lose. Upload that and check it out when you go shopping. So the solution is obvious too. Just buy local, buy organic, stop buying from chain stores. Filter your water, use reverse osmosis or buy clean drinking water or distilled water, and plant organic heirloom seeds. Also, try to replace those mercury fillings if you can afford it. Refuse vaccinations, and research holistic physicians and methods to cure holistically.
Beautiful.
Now, I have an article and video called Global Unity Project, What the World Needs Right Now. And in that video, I suggest that all education should be either homeschooling or in a Montessori-type setting, and to tailor its needs to both the introvert and extrovert, who both use different sides of their brains differently. And one of the things I also talk about is teaching holistic remedies and cures in school. Our educational system is a complete failure, and there are tens of thousands of children who graduate high school each year who are completely illiterate. And when you look at our educational system, the way it's run, it reflects the corporate lifestyle. In other words, we're always kept inside the box, whether that's through the limited information that we learn in school, which is nothing more than state-sponsored propaganda, or eventually getting a job inside of a cubicle at an office. We're always inside that box, and we're discouraged to question anything that's been regurgitated to us as the official truth. And getting back to homeschooling, Kendra, have you ever thought about homeschooling your children?
Yeah, actually, we're starting our youngest in homeschooling starting next year, and or this upcoming school year. And currently, our oldest son is also in virtual homeschooling. So, yeah, absolutely. And and there's reasons for that too. There's definitely our personal reasons, but and one of the more recent disturbing issues too with today's education is, they're starting implementing the VPK program now. That's been around for a while too, but now they're claiming, this is going to give your kid an early start into learning, and of course they start selling it to parents as a way to get free daycare, but the bottom line is it's only intended to get your child into the system quicker. So, we really need to stop falling for all these ploys that keep giving them more and more control. A child does not need to be in an institutionalized setting, especially at that age. It's 4 years old. And they want me to just allow them to, volunteer my child to another one of their programs. And I say, no, thank you. Our 4-year-olds need to be outside enjoying life, playing, using their imaginations, discovering themselves and their environments, bonding with their parents, siblings, learning from the heart, And, the older teens are beginning to wake up also. It's really difficult, to encourage them to go to school and to sit there fully knowing that the majority of what they're learning is, wasteful information. It's brainwashing. And the high schools are literally a buffet for the military recruiters now to come in and try to pick them off as early as possible. And unfortunately, the classes are usually taught by disgruntled human beings. Maybe, these teachers originally got into teaching because they wanted to help educate kids, but they've just been beaten down so badly themselves that they just feel they're there to serve the system instead of the kids. But, there's a video that went viral not long ago where a sophomore at a high school got so fed up that he stood up and decided that his voice needed to be heard. And I thought it was just so powerful and so wonderful to see this. And I'd like to share it, with the listeners for a moment. His name is Jeff Bliss, and here we go.
If you would just get up and teach them instead of handing them a freaking packet, There's kids in here who don't learn like that. Bye. They need to learn face to face. You're just getting mad because I'm pointing out the obvious.
No, and you're wasting my time.
No, I'm not wasting your time. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you what you need to do.
Get out.
You want kids to come into your class? You want them to get excited for this? You got to come in here. You got to make them excited. You want a kid to change and start doing better? You got to touch his freaking heart. Can't expect a kid to change if all you do is just tell him. You gotta take this job serious. This is the future of this nation. And when you come in here, like you did last time, and make a statement about, this is my paycheck, indeed it is. But this is my country's future and my education.
I respect that. Can you go outside, please?
But there's a limit when I'm not bitching, but simply making an observation.
Okay.
And now I will leave. You're welcome. And if you would like, I'll teach you a little more so you can actually learn how to teach a freaking class. Because since I got here, I've done nothing but read packets. So don't try and take credibility for teaching me jack.
Just go. Bye.
Of course, the school district's response to this was, asinine, in my opinion. They went on to say that, we want our students and teachers to be engaged, but the method by which the student expressed his concern could have been handled in a more appropriate way. And my thoughts on this is, okay, so what about how the teacher handled it? I can think of many better ways she could have handled it instead of acting like an immature, ego-driven numbskull. The only thing that she could say was, bye. How childish is that? Obviously, the young man was upset prior to this. So, where was the intervention that should have come from the adult in the room? And you honestly think his voice would have been heard if he had expressed himself in a more appropriate way? What's their idea of appropriate? Quietly, so he can be swept under the carpet and disregarded and ignored? I honestly think he handled it beautifully. And if you look at this kid, just look up his name, Jeff Bliss, on YouTube. You'll see, this young man is awake. And he's right. He's not some punk that just wanted to mouth off. He's a very highly intelligent young man, and he is our future. He's right. And parents really need to start teaching their kids that their opinions are very important, and that just because something's being done a certain way, that doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean we can't change it, and it sure the heck doesn't mean that we have to, to take it or stand for it. So, homeschooling is definitely a choice, that a lot of families, I think, are not able to make because, both parents have to work. They're not able to provide the time, that they need to, to do that for their kids. But, this is why family, really need to combine the efforts and find a way to make it happen. Whether you involve your grandparents, your uncle, nieces, nephews, do what you can. But it's much harder for the younger ones, obviously. They require more supervision, but there is definitely ways to unplug your kids from this. Definitely.
That kid is a hero. He's one of the Pluto and Scorpio kids who are here to make a big name for themselves, and he's just following his path, and I am so proud of him.
Absolutely.
It's funny, too, because that video has thousands of likes and only a handful of dislikes, probably by teachers or government officials.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know we're pretty much out of time here, but I think a really important thing to bring up with, schools, too, is that one of the big obstacles is vaccines. And, both of my kids have gotten vaccines, unfortunately. And now that I'm much more spiritually awakened, I realize that vaccines go against every single personal truth I hold in my heart. I look at the body as a temple. It's a literal lantern or lamp, and our true essence is the light or the fire within it. So, if our bodies are the temples of God, literally, our bodies are sacred. So when you desecrate it with toxins because, we don't have enough respect for our own bodies or our own bodies' divine ability to heal itself or protect itself, you're basically saying, hey, creation, hey, I don't need you, I don't respect you, and I don't trust you. You're putting, these vaccines into your body, and God only knows what happens. I think people fail to put together, the fact that the people that are coming up with these vaccines are the same ones that are creating the problem, that are creating the diseases. It's all a corporate scam. So, when it comes to public schools and the vaccine issue, they tell you, oh, you can exempt your child only if it goes against your religious beliefs. So, in my opinion, if you believe anything, that the Bible tells you or you have any respect for source, God, creation of life, anything, then you've got more than enough reason to not desecrate your child's body, a sacred divine temple that holds the kingdom of heaven within it, think of vaccines as these obscene graffiti-plastered, disgraces on every wall of your cellular and molecular being. That's how we have to look at it. It's a horrible thing to do to ourselves and to our children. It's awful. They're proving that these things are causing autism, ADHD, all of these illnesses. And, I guess you can almost say that it's a punishment, maybe for going against the laws of nature. It is what it is. But I'm completely and totally against vaccines, always will be. I don't see the good in them at all.
Well, I find it interesting that the Amish population doesn't have any history of autism, and they don't vaccinate their children.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes perfect sense, Yet people still line up for them. And I can't exactly remember which In5D show it was, but, part of the news announcements was that the biotech company, I think Symantec or something like that, but it uses aborted fetal cells for discovering new flavors for companies like PepsiCo. But they're putting the same stuff, these same cells, these HEX 293 or human embryonic kidney cells, into the vaccines. So why? If they're doing this to create all these which disgusts me to even say it, to, sweet and salty flavors, then why are they putting them also in the vaccines? There's got to be something to it. There has to be. It's too odd.
Well, just one thing also that I want to add that the parents out there need to keep in mind. I have a daughter that's in college, and I have a feeling that she's going to be doing something really big in this genre when the time's right. So until then, I'm letting her find her own way. And all I can do right now is guide her a little here and there. By the time our children are 14, 15, 16 years old, you pretty much taught them everything you need to know. So at that point, you got to let them fly on their own, as well as fall down on their own, because they need to know what it's like to pick themselves back up again. And I know a lot of parents, they feel like they want to do the right thing by constantly being there to catch their child, but you got to let them fall too, and that's going to help them find their spiritual path.
Beautiful advice. I agree 100%.
So ultimately, the solution is to homeschool your children without the state-sponsored propaganda, and to teach them at a young age to take time out to meditate. You also want to encourage metaphysical abilities within them or yourself. Well, once again, these 2 hours flew by, Kendra.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it was a great show. I thought it was wonderful. So, and I'm very thankful that we had the callers that we did, and the chat room is nice and full. So thank you to everybody. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's been a great night. So next week, galactic historian Andrew Bartzis will be joining us, and we're going to be covering a wide range of topics, including Nibiru, the Anunnaki, and our real Earth history. And 2 weeks after that, astrologer Tom K-Pacha-Lesher will be our guest. So on behalf of my co-host, Kendra Gilbert, this is Gregg Prescott from In5D.com. Namaste, everyone.